I've put some leaflets out in my time. I've put a lot of leaflets out. This is the best. I've never put out a better leaflet. Here is our candidate, very, very brave man. He lives in Dagenham. He's a councillor in Dagenham. He travels on the public transport. He's a very brave man. He threw himself into this campaign. He threw himself into it. Here is endorsements from local people, some of them councillors, of course, and if you know, I've got loads of these here. I go up and down this country advertising these leaflets because these are the leaflets that won us that election. Because that question, is this what you really want? People don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want the crime and they don't want the immigration. And they voted for our man. I would tell you, I don't want to speak too long about this GLA election, but there are certain things that stick in my mind about it. There was a programme on television in the run-up to the election, only last year. There was a programme on television, you had that traitor, that creep, Ken Livingstone, who wants to flood London with Chinese. He wants Chinese in London. What's a Chinese London? Quite open about it. He went on the television, he spent an hour on the BBC, all talking about London, wonderful this, London, how it made us all rich. This is before the credit crunch, of course, before the bankers started blowing out their brains. Sorry, that's a joke. They're such creeps, they never blow out their brains. But anyway, before London, before the credit crunch and the City of London, they all got the sack. Good job, they all got the sack. All them trashy bankers got the sack. But their socialist friend, Ken Livingstone, was waxing lyrical, how the City of London was making us all rich and what a wonderful, diverse city it was. You know, there's 120 different languages now. God help us. Anyway, at the end of this great long speech of Mr. Livingstone's, who was then the Mayor of London, he got the bullet, sorry, I should say the sack, shouldn't I? I don't want to be misunderstood here. Got the sack. To be replaced by another creep, of course. But on the television, they said to Livingstone, Mr. Livingstone, what's point number 1 on the agenda for the election? He didn't have to think it out. Stopping the BNP from getting a candidate on the GLA. Well, how satisfactory, eh? Take that one, Livingstone. You're out and we're in. You're out and we're in. Mr. Chairman, we can say with a good conscience to people whose families have voted Labour over the years, we can say to them, the Labour Party has been a disaster for working class people, has been a disaster. One could make a speech about the economics, one could make a speech about the deindustrialisation of Britain. I would just focus here on how the Labour Party has been a disaster for working class people in that you would not, nobody would want to live in Harriet Harman's constituency for just one. Nobody would want to live in Harriet Harman's Peckham constituency. The Labour Party has been a disaster for working class people. And I think that when we're out campaigning, we should say to people who you've got a good idea are going to vote Labour, you should say to them, do you actually approve of Labour's immigration policies? Labour let in 500,000 immigrants last year. They're going to let in another 500,000 immigrants this year. And if they're not stopped, no one's going to stop them, of course, not Live, Lab or Con, they'll let in another 500,000 next year. And we should say to Labour voting people, do you actually agree with that? Do you think the whole world should be invited into our country to take our jobs, get our welfare, get everything, and elbow us out in the way that they do? Because we end up at the back of every queue, including bus stops, of course. It's a bold man who pushes his way to the bus stop, isn't it, eh? Out my way. That's a bold man. It can be done, but you've got to be very careful. There's ways of doing things. I may or may not say that when the camera's not rolling. But, so, we should say to Labour people, do you want this? Do you want this? And equally, our patriotic party can say to people who voted Conservative in the past, the Conservative Party has been, in practice, a disaster for Britain. It was the Conservatives who burdened Britain with the race immigration problem. It was Harold Macmillan in the 1950s, which I remember well, Harold Macmillan in the 1950s, who first started letting West Indians in, Jamaicans in, and various Asians into this country. He let them in the 1950s. They started the multiracial society in the 1950s. I can remember, because I go back a few years, I can remember as a sort of teenager discussing with my parents. I lived in West London. And my parents and we couldn't understand it. What were these absolute exotic aliens with their turbans on with their turbans? What were they doing in Hounslow High Street? What were they doing in this country? We couldn't understand it. And that's where the other side are such liars. Our family was a modest little family in the 1950s. God help us, what paper did we read? No, this is confession time now, Sharon, confession time now. In the 1950s, our little family used to read the Daily Mirror. God help us. That's what working class people used to read, the Daily Mirror. I'm really, this is, So what did the Daily Mirror, that wicked newspaper, tell their working class readership? Whether the working class was Burnley, Birmingham, Manchester or London, West London, South. What did the Daily Mirror tell their working class readership in 1958? Half a century ago. What did my parents say and read? And what did I, discuss it with them in the little family kitchen? The Daily Mirror said to the working class of Britain, don't worry about immigration, don't worry. There's only going to be a few students, there's only going to be a few apprentices. Now, we're a generous people. We didn't object to a few students learning to be, I don't know what, then going back and helping their kith and kin back there in wherever they come from. We didn't object to a few apprentices learning a bit of plumbing or electrical whatever, and then going back to but that was the lie. That's how they got the working class to accept immigration. So that was done that was the Daily Mirror speaking on behalf of a Tory government, because it was the Tories under Macmillan who were letting these exotics from the tropics into our country. Ted Heath let the Asians in. Margaret Thatcher opened the door to the whole world. I will say to the younger people, you don't know how much you've had your future stolen from you by these politicals. I'm old enough to remember that white Britain. I'm old enough to remember a Britain that was a white Britain with a homogenous population and law-abiding country. I remember all that. And the young people have had this future stolen from them. And there's only one chance for all of us, and that is this party. That is the only chance we have, and the example you have here with your wonderful councillors, I can only, in all humbleness, and say to you, follow, emulate their example, and go to the people, speak up bravely for Britain, and with good fortune. You have to have luck in this world. There's always an element of luck. You will get elected, but we have proven that we can win, and our job is to persevere, because we are needed. I tell you this, in all seriousness, I'll say it in front of them. I'll say it in front of Sharon, I'll say it in front of Les, and the councillor here. Your councillors in this town, your councillors and your candidates and your activists, you are giving the English, British people of this town a chance of life. Because without us, we're going to be snuffed out just like a sodding candle. Just like a candle. It's dead. Finito. That is what Lib, Lab and Con will do to us. But, we're going to win. We're going to win, and we're winning now. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.